The reason why I'm making this video is I wanted to make sure that after the development forum that the learnings and teachings were carried through. I wanted to give people a practical reminder of the 5 principles and how they might bring them to life within the business. I wanted to make sure that by the time we meet again that people have been using the principles to great effect within the business, influencing themselves and influencing each other to make better connections and create the amazing. First principle that I talked about was the principle of inner dialogue. Inner dialogue is the idea that we think and then we feel and then we act. So all our actions and behaviours are a direct result of our thoughts, the words and pictures in our head. So for us to get different results, different outcomes, to make different connections, what we must do is to create different pictures and use different words in regard to describing ourselves, our colleagues, our tasks, the world that we live in. How do we bring this to life in the workplace? What we do is that we can sit in meetings or be on the phone and we can label ourselves a particular way. If I sat in a meeting and said, if I was the most creative person in Cisco, what would I be doing? What would I be saying? What would I be feeling? And what would I be thinking? Maybe I could task my teams by saying that if we were the most innovative team in Cisco, how would we be dealing with this problem? If we were the most cost-effective team, if we were the most collaborative, what would I be doing now? So once we start to label ourselves, we start to have a different perspective on what we're trying to achieve. And maybe what we do achieve, the different connection that we make, may well be different. Events will happen all the time, internal and external factors which push and pull us in different directions. It's how we react and how we respond which will determine the best outcome or opportunity. How do we bring this to life in the workplace? You know what? The best way of doing this is simply to be aware of it. Water cooler conversations. The things that we cannot change. But if we were to exercise great choice and allow others to do the same, we encourage people to be aware of this equation, then I think that we can drive better opportunities and outcomes. Maybe connect with the product or result of what we're trying to achieve in a different way. An important principle within the idea of belief system was the idea of the rogue monkey. The rogue monkey is about challenge. It's not about breaking rules. It's about understanding the parameters in which we work and I guess stretching some of those parameters. It's sometimes just about asking the right questions, not necessarily trying to give the right answers. Once we explore other people's thinking, including our own, I guess that we may make different connections and allow us to see the world that we inherit or inhabit differently. Point number 4 was the idea of purpose. I mentioned that purpose can never be achieved, it's attained on a daily basis. It's really important to understand our purpose, not just as an individual, but as a team. And what we need to do to bring this principle to life is to truly understand what we are giving to the end user. We often define ourselves by our product or our service, not by the value that we give to the customer. We talk about what we sell, not necessarily what the customer buys. And so for us to truly understand purpose, we must understand what we're truly trying to achieve. We must explore some of the wider connections away from our immediate world. Point number 5 was the idea of fear. I wrote this as an acronym, and you'll probably remember it stands for false evidence appearing real. I spent half of my life worrying about things, half of which will never happen. How do we exercise our fear of failure? How do we get rid of some of the uncertainties and doubts? Our courage is like a muscle. The more we exercise it, the stronger it gets. We are all born with the same levels of confidence. The best way of using these 5 principles is to deconstruct them in regard to a questioning technique. Once we understand the questions which bring to life the principles, we can use them in the workplace and reference them often and get people to think in a different way. Because the route to acting differently is to think differently.